Hi, this is Rick Ferguson, Artistic Director of the Musical Offering, musicaloffering.org and rickfergusonmusic.com. I'm doing a continuing series of interviews with Musical Offering faculty members, and today I have the great joy and pleasure of chatting with Victoria Holland, Dr. Victoria Holland, who has been on our voice faculty for some number of years and is doing some really cool stuff. So welcome, Victoria.
Thank you.
And I thought that it might be interesting just for you first to share a little bit about, what are some of the things that you're working on with your students? How do you tend in general to approach working with your students? And what are some of the fun things that they're up to right now?
Great. Well, that's a big thing to chew.
It's a big question.
Big thing to bite off. But my students are actively involved in performances, both involved with their schools and then organizations outside of their schools, community organizations, musical offering performances, and then they also prepare for the Royal Conservatory of Music voice exams. I have a couple students preparing for May, and then we're starting to find that actually preparing for exams, doing a little work in the summer and then working through the fall to do the November exams might be a great way to stay motivated in the early months of the school year, so that when it comes time for auditions, they are a little bit more, they've kind of traveled forward a little bit further, and we don't have to kind of just focus on those few months.
Right. So we have had for several years now a number of musical offering students preparing for Royal Conservatory assessments. For the vocal students, like in general, how do they go about preparing for a singing assessment?
There are 5 elementary levels. And in those levels, for the preparatory level, they learn 2 songs, and then they have a few technical tests to prepare, some ear tests to prepare. And then in levels 1 through 4, they learn 3 songs and a variety of choices from the syllabus, and including a teacher's choice, which is like a substitution of anything that's level and age appropriate for the student. And then they have technical tests that are growing sequentially with the level. Then when they get to intermediate, they have 4 repertoire selections. So it starts to expand. And they also start to sing a vocalese. And I have a student who did an elementary level a year ago, and she's going to jump ahead into an intermediate level, and I told her about this vocalese, and she said, oh, you know what, at ETHS we're singing those in choir. So I guess some people know about them, but it's a song without words, and you learn how to play your instrument efficiently and effectively while maintaining a vowel shape, and thinking expressive thoughts. And
so this sounds really comprehensive.
It's very comprehensive,
right? And very supportive, right? Very supportive.
And then advanced levels, recitatives are introduced, and more advanced repertoire, and more difficult technical tests, and then it goes all the way through to a certificate level. After level 10, you can go past that. And so, but for our students, we're dealing mostly with pre-college students. The intermediate levels, and then maybe dipping their toes into the advanced. But level 8 should get you into college. You should feel really solid when you're accepted to a college program. And if you're not going into music, it's still a great edification, like a building of yourself.
Yes.
And everyone knows what's going on, and you can have a sense of your progress and your goals.
Have you found this process of preparing for an assessment to be, supportive for other things that the students are interested in doing? Say they want to be in a school musical or something like that. It sounds like it's extremely supportive of that kind of thing.
Yeah, the repertoire is very accessible. We're storytellers. That's what we do as well. We're the human wind instrument, but the one thing we get to do that no other man-made instruments does is we get to shape the sound into words and tell stories with words. Other instruments tell stories through the melody and the rhythms and the ensemble, but we actually tell a story. And the students are very attracted to the stories that they are given to tell. And there's a lot of crossover, so they'll use the songs for auditions.
Yeah.
And then someone who's like, I only sing musical theater, will be introduced to this, a wonderful song like The Owls, where you get to tell this really cool story, and they'll fall in love with it. And it's an art, it's an early art song, basically.
Yes. So how did you first become interested and aware of like Royal Conservatory materials, the activities that surround all of that?
I was kind of tapped, I guess, by some colleagues to go to a summit up in Toronto. They brought about 100 music educators from the States up to Toronto, and because they've been continually, bringing the program is not primarily. It was born in Canada. It's supported by a Canadian organization, and it's been available in the States for about 20 years, but it continues to root out, and more people start to use it
and create its own American identity, right?
Right, and so that's an interesting segue into the new voice syllabus and series for 2019. So all of the syllabi, there's 20 plus syllabi, one for each instrument, and for music history and music theory.
It really is comprehensive.
It's really comprehensive. And the syllabi are revised on a 7-year rotation. So there's an office up in this amazing building in Toronto where all this magic happens, and one of the offices is basically on a continual rotation of redoing syllabi and the published series.
Yeah.
And so piano, I think, was 2015, and then they did theory, and then guitar, and now voice is up. So I've been working on this for almost 2 years, and
so you've been vetting a lot of music, right?
Yeah. So and the desire for the new syllabus was to celebrate the North American song tradition. So we've brought in more American composers. I've still brought in a lot of new Canadian composers, but we took a very 21st century view of the repertoire when possible, and then also looked at the American influence and then the Canadian-American connection.
Right.
But definitely wanting to each level you separate out the repertoire by centuries, and when we are dealing with newer repertoire, we're always looking for something that's even fresher, or like getting rid of things that aren't so fresh.
Sure.
And I have to say, Me Too played a part. I mean, I've always been affected by some of the language and some of the art songs, but it was just that much easier to say, it's time to move on. I don't want to talk about pale white cheeks. Right. I want to have stories that everyone can relate to. So it's been a great experience, and we're about to launch, and we'll be launching they'll do an official Canadian launch up in Toronto in August, but then there's the Classical Singer Conference in May in Chicago, and I'll present for that. And then there's a NATS conference in Minnesota in June. Okay. All right. So, and NATS the National Association of Teachers of Singing, endorses this curriculum. So there are multiple platforms where this can be disseminated, where this music can be disseminated. There's no barrier to entry to the voice curriculum, I think, or the other instruments. Yeah, true. And it really is. It's kind of like the mission of the musical offering. It's music for everyone. Everyone can connect where they can enter where they're comfortable, and then they can challenge themselves as far as they want to challenge themselves. Yes. And they'll get honest feedback, and then the teacher and the parents have some realistic expectations to share with the students. And it just all keeps us doing it for the love of music, I think, rather than some unexplained pinnacle we're trying to achieve. Sure. So. Yeah, it keeps it real. Right. It real. It really does. And as a piano teacher as well, I found all of these Royal Conservatory materials to be incredibly helpful.
You know, I mean, Vicki, you said a great thing when we were first initially talking about all of this. It's like, thank goodness I don't have to recreate the wheel here.
Oh, I know.
Right? I have all these materials, and these are materials that I would choose.
Totally.
Right?
I mean, that was the selling point for me. When I remember when I was invited to go to an information session, and they handed the 2012 voice syllabus to me, I about lost it. I was like, oh my gosh, this exists. Like, this is what's in everyone's mind.
Yes.
And we don't have the resources to put it down and then continually vet it with there's professionals who are hired to vet this.
Yes.
And then there are examiners who are trained to go out and assess people and give feedback. And then, granted, there is a pinnacle where if you are if you receive a top score in a region, you get an opportunity to do a prestigious public performance. But that's not why everyone's doing it. I mean, you get people doing it because they love music.
Yes, and I love it because it's so process-oriented, right? So when my students are preparing for an assessment, I enjoy going through the process of preparation. I also really like how students are able to have a lot of input in terms of repertoire that they choose to present in an assessment. I think that's a huge selling point for me. And, I love what happens as a result of the student going through the assessment process, because the nature of the feedback that they get, it's really not so much about the score, it's about the music making and the skills that are being created. So I think that that's something that really does tend to set this process apart from a lot of other types of similar festivals and that type of thing.
The curriculum, all of the curricula, because there's definitely continuity between them. They strike the perfect balance of allowing someone to be an individual, but yet there's comprehension, comprehensive approach, and an acceptance that all these skills go into being a musician. It's just brilliant. I mean, I feel honored to be able to be a part of it and give my input, and I love the colleagues I get to work with, both in Canada and the States. I go out and I as an examiner for the Royal Conservatory, I'm a member of the College of Examiners, and I go around North America, and I hear people singing this repertoire that they prepared and for the exam and the technical tests and the ear tests. And I mean, at first I just thought I had died and gone to heaven, because I just thought, oh my gosh, all these people are preparing this. And now, I'm still thrilled. And I just get a window into so many different people's experience with the process. And from the point where no one is typical. Like, everyone is unique, but yet they're doing enough of the same thing, but how they approach it is different. And one of the most wonderful things is for a person who has autism or is on a spectrum and is interacting with material in a different way. And sometimes, usually I'll be given a note about that for the exam,
right?
But sometimes not. But I can tell through our interactions that they are a sensitive person, and they come in, and you're not really sure what's going to happen the first time, and then you kind of know after that. They start to sing. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Like, that's when they can be themselves without all the judgments of society.
Right.
And it's awesome.
That's powerful.
It's so, I'm getting chills just thinking about it. It's so powerful that I can help facilitate that, and that this curriculum is a way, like I said, no barrier to entry, no judgment. Here is the story. You've prepared it.
Right.
Here are the elements that go into telling the story. You've learned the scales. You've learned what intervals are, and they show them to me, and
That's wonderful.
It's really amazing. It's like
and you can actually study with Victoria, which I think is a wonderful suggestion. You just have to contact musicaloffering.org. And also, if you have any more questions, if you're curious about Royal Conservatory of Music materials, assessments, music, in any of that related stuff, you can go to the Musical Offering website and get a hold of me, and I'll be more than happy to talk with you about that. So again, thank you, Victoria,
Thank you.
for sitting with us and chatting, and thank you so much for watching.